Somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on. I tell you, it's gone on. Oh, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Oh, somebody's hurting my sister, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. Don't you know somebody's hurting my brother, and he's gone on. And we won't be silent anymore. Oh, somebody's taking our health care, and it's gone on. Yes, it's gone on. Don't you know that it's gone on? Yes, somebody's hurting my children, and it's gone on. And now be silent anymore.
Did you hear somebody's poison the water? And it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. Oh, it's gone on far too long. Oh, yeah, somebody's ignoring our elders, and it's gone on. Oh, and we won't be silent anymore.
Don't you know somebody's telling some lies, y'all, and it's gone on. Well, it's gone on. Oh, it's gone on. Oh, somebody's telling some lies, and it's gone on. Oh, and we won't be silent anymore.
Somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. I tell you, it's gone far too long. Yes, somebody's hurting my brother, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't be silent anymore. And we won't be silent anymore.
Good morning and welcome all. Today marks the last time you and I give voice to the Spirit together. I can't tell you how much I wish I was standing before you in person, at the mic, the room full of people, and the choir seated in the balcony, and all of us singing our hearts out to the songs we all know together, live and in person one last time. As I enter the last few weeks of my time at WBUU, I can't help but think of all the Sundays, all years and years of them, all of the notes, all of the singing, playing, accompanying, and being in community with you all in this room and all over the building. I will really miss it, and I'll always treasure singing with you. Let's do one more round together this morning. I know you're out there. Please sing with me. One morning I woke up and I knew what to do. I'd take all the stones that everyone threw. I'd take all the sorrow that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. One morning I woke woke up and I knew what to do. I'd take all the stones that everyone threw. I'd take all the anger that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. One morning I woke up and I knew what to do. Take all the stones that everyone threw. I'd take all the injustice that I could in a day. Then I'd take all the stones and I'd throw them away. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Don't ask why, say we must all be free. Don't ask when, say you can count on me. Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none, singly none. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. Step by step, the longest march can be won, can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none, singly none. And by union what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none, singly none. We're gonna eat at the welcome table. We're gonna eat at the welcome table one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna eat at the welcome table. Gonna eat at the welcome table one of these days. We're gonna claim our civil rights. We're gonna claim our civil rights one of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna claim our civil rights. Gonna eat at the welcome table one of these days. We're gonna sing and never get tired. We're gonna sing and never get tired all of these days, hallelujah. We're gonna sing and never get tired. Gonna eat at the welcome table one of these days. Here all the world will find a welcome. Here all the world will find a welcome rest of these days, hallelujah. Here all the world will find a welcome. Gonna eat at the welcome table one of these days. May the blessings of life be upon you, and may peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore. May the blessings of life be upon you, and may peace abide with you. May love's presence illuminate your heart now and forevermore.
Good morning, and welcome everyone to White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church. We come together in this community of youth, adults, and children to grow our souls and serve the world. I'm Jim Van Ostrand. I use pronouns he, him, and I'm a member of your board of directors. Whether you're attending for the first time or the hundredth, You're warmly invited to join us for Cyber Social Hour at 11:15. It's really more like 30 minutes of facilitated conversation and connection. We'd be glad to have you. I also warmly invite you to sign up for one of several opportunities to chat with Roger. These 90-minute sessions will give you a chance to meet Roger and share about our church. This will help him get more deeply acquainted with our church and the people that are at the heart of it. Next Sunday's worship services will take place in person and virtually at 9 and 11 a.m. This will be our annual water communion service. If you'd like to come to one of the in-person services, please register. You can find the registration links in your e-news. In addition to myself, service participants today include Reverend Roger, Reverend Sarah, Amy Peterson-Derrick, Carol Couette, Becky Panch, Corinne Couette, and Randy Gildersleeve, with behind-the-scenes technical magic from Aaron Scott and Anna Garris.
Come in. Come into the space which we make holy by our presence. Come in with all your vulnerabilities, strengths, fears, and anxieties, loves and hopes, for you need not hide, nor pretend, nor be anything other than you are and who you are called to be. Come into the space where we can heal and be healed, forgive and be forgiven. Come into the space where the ordinary is sanctified, the human is celebrated, the compassionate is expected. Come into this space. Together, we make it a holy space.
This week, I saw a meme about how humans are apex predators and, like lions, we're meant to lounge around eating food and caring for our young. I thought it was pretty funny, but the next time it came around, it included a whole history lesson about human patterns of work before the Industrial Revolution. How humans lounged around, did a few hours of work a day, and cared for their families and created art. Once factory owners found out that labor was cheap and people were expendable, they exploited their labor for self-interested gain. And the people who were, in fact, not expendable, found that if they band together, if we band together, we are more powerful than any organization, more powerful in our refusal to work than in all of our labor combined. So I light our chalice this morning for the worth of our labor and the value of our rest. Join me in our opening words. Love is the spirit of this church and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Join us now in singing our opening hymn, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire, number 34 in our Ray hymnal.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess and striving so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come,
Good morning. Today I'd like to share with you a story, as I have many times before, about our chalice. And not this particular chalice, the one that you see on our altar week after week, but this is a story of how Unitarian Universalists came to light a chalice at the beginning of every worship service, every religious education class, why we wear chalice necklaces and put chalices on our signs. And it starts like this. Once upon a time, not all that long ago, there was a great land over a great sea. It was not a time of peace in this great land. It was a very scary time. There was a war, a great big world war. And it became known, even across the great sea, that there were people in this war-torn land that were in danger, and they needed help escaping to safety. But there were many people that believed that we couldn't or shouldn't travel across the great sea to help, that it was too dangerous, or maybe just that it wasn't our job. Some people disagreed, including a Unitarian minister named Reverend Charles Joy. Reverend Joy believed that we shouldn't wait when there are people in danger, and that we should help them get to safety, even if it meant taking risks ourselves. And so he and a group of Unitarians traveled across the great ocean to that great land, and they got to work. Reverend Joy and his team reached out to anyone who would listen, anyone who could help provide safe passage, money, transportation, anyone who believed as strongly as they did in the possibility of safety for those in danger. But the minister and his team ran into a problem. No one knew who they were. Why would they trust them to get into safety in a time with so much danger? Not only that, but many of the people they were trying to help didn't speak the same language. And so the minister needed help. So what did he do? He reached out to an artist named Hans Deutsch, who himself had escaped danger and was far away from his home country, but was so inspired by the minister and his team. And so Hans got to work. He drew a picture of a cup, a chalice symbolizing healing and safety, and the flame symbolizing sacrifice and justice. This chalice symbol helped Reverend Joy and the Unitarians working with the Unitarian Service Committee to lead thousands to sanctuary, to safety, away from the war. And at the end of the war, Unitarian and then Unitarian Universalist churches all over the country and the world heard this story, and they started lighting a chalice whenever they gathered. We light our chalice whenever we are together to remind one another that we are entering into a special, sacred time. Light is blessing our space, calling us into the work of our faith community together. And no matter where we are, no matter where we go, our chalice symbol can remind us of our call to be a beacon of hope, of justice, sanctuary, and love. May we carry that light with us wherever we go. Join me in the spirit of prayer or meditation. Bring your attention to the light of the chalice. Hold the light of the flame in your mind for a time. Imagine the light spreading from the space it's in, you're in, out into the world, bringing hope and healing, care and compassion into this hurting world. Hold in your hearts the people of Afghanistan as they work toward a new order. The people in Louisiana looking at a long recovery from yet another hurricane. The people in South Lake Tahoe and all over California today who are
battling wildfires, and the people all over the world who are sick and dying from COVID. Bring your attention back into the room you're in, back to the flame. Listen to the space you're in. Is it noisy or quiet? Joyful or somber? Listen to the space. Listen to your heartbeat for a moment. And with each beat, hold in your heart the folks in your life who are hurting, who are joyful, who you would like for us to hold together in our hearts. Into this space, into this quiet moment, speak their names aloud. Named and unnamed, we hold them all. Amen.
Your financial gift to our congregation supports the programs we've come to rely on as anchors in our lives. Programs for youth and families, music, classes, and small groups, justice work and public witness, pastoral care, rites of passage, and Sunday services. You can contribute to the offering today by sending a check or by following the easy prompt to text to give on your screen and in the chat box. Thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we live together.
Our first reading is from William Ellery Channing. The great end in religious instruction is not to stamp our minds upon the young, but to stir up their own. Not to make them see with our eyes, but to look inquiringly and steadily with their own. Not to give them a definite amount of knowledge, but to inspire a fervent love of truth. Not to form an outward regularity, but to touch inward springs. Not to bind them by ineradicable prejudices to our particular set of peculiar notions, but to prepare them for impartial, conscientious judging of whatever subjects may be offered for their decision. Not to burden the memory, but to quicken and strengthen the power of thought. Not to impose religion upon them in the form of arbitrary rules, but to awaken the conscience, the moral discernment. In a word, the great end is to awaken the soul, to excite and cherish spiritual life. The second reading is Mary Oliver's Bone. Understand, I am always trying to figure out what the soul is and where hidden and what shape. And so last week, when I found on the beach the ear bone of a pilot whale that may have died hundreds of years ago, I thought maybe I was close to discovering something. For the ear bone is the portion that lasts the longest in any of us, person or whale. Shaped like a squat spoon with a pink scoop where once in the lively swimmer's head it joined two sisters in the house of hearing, it was only 2 inches long, and thought the soul might be like this, so hard, so necessary, yet almost nothing. Beside me, the gray sea was opening and shutting its wave doors, unfolding over and over its time-ridiculing roar. I looked, but I couldn't see anything through its darkening glare. Yet don't we all know the golden sand is there at the bottom, though our eyes have never seen it, nor can our hands ever catch it, lest we should sift it down into fractions and facts, certainties, and what the soul is also, I believe I will never quite know. Though I play the edges of knowing, truly I know our part is not knowing, but looking and touching and loving, which is the way I walk on, softly, through the pale pink morning light.
As we come marching, marching, unnumbered women dead, go crying through our singing, their ancient call for bread. Small art and love and beauty, the trudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days. The rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler tend that toil where one reposes, but a sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our days shall not be sweated, from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies, give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 millocks gray, are touched with all the radiance the sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing bread and roses, bread and roses. We go marching, marching, as 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 we go marching, 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 as we go marching, marching. marching. As we go marching, marching, 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 marching. We go marching, marching, marching. As we go marching, marching, marching.
Attention has been present in our Unitarian Universalist faith in this country since its beginnings in the early 19th century. The tension is between spirituality on the one hand and social justice on the other, between growing our souls and serving the world. This tension quickly got focused on slavery. William Ellery Channing, arguably the founder of Unitarianism in this country, himself ran into a buzzsaw around this tension when he became an outspoken critic of slavery. In essence, his congregation fired him for his activism. Ralph Waldo Emerson, another early Unitarian in this country, was also a fierce critic of slavery, and he began doing that after he left congregational ministry. Variations of this tension have erupted ever since, and I'm pretty convinced they always will in this faith. The latest eruption began around 2016 with the election of Donald Trump as president, and then in 2017 with the racist Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Trump's reprehensible response to that. That march, the killing of one of the counter-protesters, as well as news about one after another killing of unarmed Black Americans by police, including, of course, in this area, that made it increasingly difficult for liberal white Americans to ignore or just give lip service to the problem of systemic racism. With all this going on in our country, most Unitarian Universalist ministers began preaching more frequently and urgently about racism and the need for Unitarian Universalists to deconstruct the legacy of white supremacy culture within and beyond our church walls. So as a perfect storm of challenges gripped our nation, not just racism, but also a rise in authoritarianism, increased realization about the epic catastrophe of global climate change, and then a pandemic, more of us turned to our UU churches for solace and replenishing of our souls. Hearing about these challenges was not why some folks came to UU churches. Not surprisingly to me, it feels like this tension is present here at White Bear Unitarian Universalist Church too. I suspect that some of you did not want to hear so much about racism and authoritarianism and climate change, what sometimes gets dismissed as politics that doesn't have a place in the church. And I know there's others who would have been disappointed, fiercely disappointed, if these were not often talked about. Well, talking about wrenching issues while you're replenishing people's souls, sometimes sagging and broken, that is not an easy line to toe. Even a gifted preacher such as Reverend Victoria could not escape this tension, and newsflash, neither will I. And so I want to take time today to share my approach to this conundrum, and I hope that knowing where I'm coming from, how I see this tension, might help at least a little bit. First of all, for me, while this tension is real, I do not accept that spiritual growth and serving the world are fundamentally opposed. I just don't buy it. And I don't think Emerson or Channing bought it either. It's actually pretty hard to find UU leaders who talked more eloquently and frequently about soul work, about growing our souls. Emerson said that the remedy of what ails us as individuals and as a society, first is soul, second soul, forevermore soul. The Channing reading that Sarah shared echoes this. In a word, the great end of religious instruction is to awaken the soul and excite and cherish spiritual life. And of course, both those folks really served the world, were advocates for justice, and in Channing's case, paid a price. For me, the flaming chalice, the story of its origins that Amy shared a few moments ago, for me, that is a symbol of the integration of growing our souls and serving the world. And I frequently like to contemplate that unity when I look at the chalice. So all of this is to say, you're going to hear a lot from me about the problems besetting our nation and our world and how we might each respond. And you're going to hear a lot from me about growing our souls. Indeed, I don't really think that we can grow our souls without serving the world, without acting on our beliefs. And I don't think we can serve the world effectively and for the long term without growing our souls. With Mary Oliver, I'm always trying to figure out what the soul is and where it's hidden and what shape it takes. I believe I will never quite know, but I also believe that soul work has both an inner contemplation component and an outer manifestation in action. Two other things. I will always try to tell the truth as I see it. I hope no one needs to come here to hear a Pollyannish message about the world. And I will always try to find some reasons for hope. My soul is not healthy when I lose sight of hope. And honestly, I actually think there are reasons, quite a few reasons for hope today, even with all of these problems. For one thing, I don't think we can get anywhere with problems like racism or climate change if we don't first admit that there's a problem. Like a person struggling with addiction, the first step is admitting that there's a problem, that they have a problem. We have a problem. The murder of George Floyd made it harder for white people to pretend that there isn't a problem. And so we need to talk, real exploration about these matters. Last thing I'll say about this is that I know I'll do this balancing imperfectly. So did Reverend Victoria, so will Reverend Sarah and Reverend Jack, and whoever your new settled minister is in a couple of years. I will miss the mark for some of you at least some of the time. And I welcome conversation with you about that. I know that will help me grow, and maybe it'll help you grow too. Okay, now that I've dispensed with all of that may be a little bit of wishful thinking, I want to talk today about the common good. I ran across a really wonderful definition of the common good from Pope John the 23rd, who I think understood this well. The common good embraces the sum total of all those conditions of social life which enable individuals, families, and organizations to achieve complete and effective fulfillment. Those things that enable all of us, individuals, families, organizations, to achieve complete and effective fulfillment. The common good was a beautiful concept in our nation's founding, and it was fatally flawed because common was too narrowly understood. The goal was complete and effective fulfillment for landowning white males, indigenous people, Black people, women, poor people, explicitly not included in that understanding of common. And so the circle of who's included in the common good needed and still needs to be widened. understanding common to mean everyone remains the key to our nation fulfilling its destiny. And in our own faith, the first and the seventh principles of Unitarian Universalism, as well as the proposed eighth principle, push us to widen that circle within and beyond our congregations. If we really believe in the dignity and worth of all people, then everyone needs to be in this common good. If we really believe we're part of an interdependent web of all existence, then everyone and all of nature need to be in this circle. I've been thinking lately a lot about the colossal, catastrophic failure of wealthy nations, ours included, to make the vaccine quickly available to the whole world. Jack touched on this last week. I believe that humanity as a whole had the wealth and the ingenuity to get that vaccine in every person who wanted it by this time. And it is easy to make a case that the wealthy nations would have been better off if we had made a priority vaccinating people in India instead of focusing so much on vaccinating ourselves, rather than prioritizing vaccinations here. As long as the global effort to get the vaccine to everyone continues to lag, we have created a fertile environment for this vaccine to mutate and for new, potentially even worse variants to come along. I've been thinking about that booster shot, and when it's available with great relief, I will get one. Doing so feels like it's supporting the common good in the United States. And at the same time, I wonder if the global common good would have been better off if we threw everything into getting the vaccine into people who haven't had it and worried less actually about the booster. What impacts this global common good will impact us too. We truly are in this all together. And this raises hard questions. On this Labor Day weekend, I'm also pondering work and the common good. In my view, societies thrive when people's individual passions and skills meet the needs of the society. A thriving society needs frontline medical workers. Wow, and we've seen that over these last 2 years. And it needs so many more people finding their work niche. Musicians, restaurant workers, participants in Black Lives Matter protests and anti-Line 3 protests, plumbers, Habitat for Humanity volunteers, teachers, trash collectors, volunteer elementary tutors, just to name a very few. And note that I'm talking about work, both paid and unpaid or volunteer work. I remember an article I ran across in Appleton 2 decades ago in the local newspaper about a person in the county whose job was to go along along roadsides early in the morning and pick up deer carcasses. Wow, that is not an easy job in a whole bunch of ways. But this person found it incredibly meaningful work. This person single-handedly improved the sight and the smell of the roadways in that county. Maybe a good way to picture all of this work is to picture it as the work of the soul. When our work is at that intersection of our passions and our skills and the needs of the society, this work is holy, it is sacred, it is soul work. It is work that feeds our souls, and our soul then through the work helps the common good, even if our job is picking up deer carcasses. So here we are again at that integration of growing our souls and serving the world. These are complementary, not opposed. On this Labor Day weekend, let's take a moment to celebrate the work that brings good to this whole big, wide circle that is our world. Let's recommit ourselves to making sure that those who are working for money get a fair and a living wage. And let's renew our understanding of the need for all workers to have paid time off and space in their lives to be whole people. To do the work of the soul, we need to make sure that work is honored in these ways. Friends, this is all about the common good. And I invite you now to join in our closing hymn and singing the Living Tradition number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs that others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Please join me in the closing words. May peace dwell within our hearts and understanding in our minds. May courage steel our will and love of truth forever guide us.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning. All are welcome to join our cyber social hour at 11:15 today, and you will find that link on the website. We look forward to seeing all of you virtually and in person, either one, next Sunday for our annual water communion service. We'll have both virtual and in-person services at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Please be sure to pre-register as early as possible if you'd like to come to the in-person service. And I hope that more of you will sign up for one of the remaining Chats with Roger sessions. I am learning so much. And I think that I hope the participants are enjoying these conversations too. So I want to meet you. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings about your beloved congregation. For now, we'll extinguish our chalice here and wherever you are, but not the love or the light or the warmth in our hearts, those things that the chalice symbolizes so powerfully. Be well, friends, and may you go in peace.
Hold on, keep your hand on the plow, hold on, hold on, keep your eyes on the prize, hold on, hold on. Keep your hands on the prize. your hand on the plow, hold on. And the one thing we did right was the day we started to fight. Keep your